Hey everybody, welcome back. We're continuing our reading of the Bible. This is Jehovah's Witness version. We're in Deuteronomy 24, picking up on verse 5 where we left off. Let's continue our reading recitation. In case a man takes a new wife, he should not go out into the army, nor should anything else be imposed onto him. He should continue exempt as his house for 1 year, and he must make his wife whom he has taken rejoice. So he has to bond with her first before he goes to war. No one should seize a handmill or its upper grindstone as a pledge, because it is a soul that he is seizing as a pledge. A grindstone? Interesting. In case a man is found kidnapping a soul of his brother of the sons of Israel, and has dealt tyrannically with him and sold him, that kidnapper must also die, and you must clear away what is bad from your midst. If only we could give that to kidnappers, right? People who snatch people and sell them into a trafficking network. They deserve the worst. They don't deserve clean water for showers, warm water for showers, a bed, and a roof over their heads. They should be punished more severely, but we're getting very soft on crime, and crime is rising, and more people care about criminals' comfort than victims, it appears. Be on your guard in the plague of leprosy to take good care and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, will instruct you, just as I have commanded them. You should be careful to do. There should be a remembering of what Jehovah your God did to Miriam in the way when you were coming out of Egypt. In case you lend your fellowman a loan of any sort, you must not enter into his house to take from him what he has pledged. So, wait on the outside, right? You should stand on the outside, and the man to whom you are making a loan should bring the pledge outside to you. So if you are a debt collector, stand on the outside. Don't go inside and harass them, make them feel uncomfortable. If the man is in trouble, you must not go to bed with his pledge. You should by all means return the pledge to him as soon as the sun sets, and he must go to bed in his garment, and he must bless you, and it will mean righteousness for you before Jehovah your God. Okay, so he's got to bless you afterwards. You must not defraud a hired laborer who is in trouble with the poor. Oh no, and poor, okay? Whether of your brothers or of your alien residents who are in your land within your gates. So don't defraud a citizen or a non-citizen of their wages. In his day you should give him his wages, and the sun should not set upon them, because he is in trouble and is lifting up his soul to his wages, that he may not cry out to Jehovah against you, and it must become sin on your part. So if you're a Christian and you have a landscaping company, and you went around to the amigos and you went and picked up some of them, you should pay them the same day. No, come back tomorrow, or come back in 2 days, or I'll call you and pay you. You should pay them that day. You shouldn't go and pick them up when they're waiting outside for work and then not have the money to pay them the same day. Fathers should not be put to death on account of children, and children should not be put to death on account of fathers. Each one should be put to death for his own sin. So you cannot punish them. So the child is not guilty of what their father did. So when you have a communist system like in North Korea, where if you speak ill of the leader and then your children can get put in a camp, right, a forced labor camp, that's a crime. So we have a lot of similar weird things starting to happen, right? We have to be careful of what we allow. So if you're a Christian, you do not punish the children for their fathers, and you don't punish the fathers for their children. Criticize, but watch it, You must not pervert the judgment of the alien resident or of the fatherless boy, and you must not seize the garment of a widow as a pledge. And you must remember that you became a slave in Egypt, and Jehovah your God proceeded to redeem you from there. That is why I am commanded you to do this thing. So he mentions quite often, you were once slaves in Egypt. So remember to have humility, it appears, and to obey Jehovah, contending, right? In case you reap your harvest in your field, and you have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you must not go back and get it. It should stay for the alien resident, for the fatherless boy, and for the widow, in order that Jehovah your God may bless you in every deed of your hand. Okay, so you got some spare wheat, let them donate it for food and charity. So today, a lot of people might not have agriculture. Maybe an equivalent in a more modern context would be, if you got some extra cans of corn, donate to the food bank so people who need it can get it, right? In case you beat, or if you have cherry trees or some other plant and some people walk by and get it, they can have a couple. In case you beat your olive tree, you must not go over its boughs following up yourself. It should stay for the alien resident, for the fatherless boy, and for the widow. So that's how you get the... My uncle had some olive trees. I never watched how he harvested, just that the deer would go and eat it. They love the really hard, bitter olives before they are ready. So you beat it, and then the olives just fall on the ground? It's really interesting. I should know that, considering I'm part Italian. In case you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you must not gather the leftovers following up yourself. They should stay for the alien resident, for the fatherless boy, and for the widow. So, if you have a restaurant maybe, you got some leftover food, don't put it in the garbage, let the employees eat it, give it away to charity. A lot of Christian business owners that I have met, they will charge their employees even 75 cents for sour cream, $3 for avocado, or they'll give their own employees a 50% discount. And then if there's extra food, like a mistake of an order was made and someone wants to eat it, they'll say, no, you can put it in the trash. Or they won't let their employees take the rest of their employee meal to go, or they have to eat their meal on site. So if you think about that in a more modern context, so you may not have a vineyard or a cornfield, but the food charity is quite clear here. So if you're a Christian and you're charging your own employees for food and you're not really thinking of it as something that'll earn your benefit to God, you should watch out for that. A lot of restaurants with Christian business owners throwing food like old pastries, like day-old pastries, instead of letting employees take it home, they might let them have a snack with their coffee, but for the most part it gets thrown in the trash. A lot of food waste happens, so we gotta stop that. And you must remember that you became a slave in the land of Egypt. That is why I am commanding you to do this thing. Okay, now we're in 25. In case a dispute arises between men and they have presented themselves for the judgment, they must also judge them and pronounce the righteous one righteous and pronounce the wicked one wicked. Well, today we have an inversion. And it must occur that if the wicked one deserves to be beaten, the judge must also have him laid prostrate and given strokes before him by a number to correspond with his wicked deed. Okay, so he'll prostrate, get a whipping, which is equal to what was the action that caused it, right? You did something really bad, you don't get in trouble. With 40 strokes he may beat him, he should add none, for fear he should continue to beat him with many strokes in addition to these, and your brother is actually disgraced in your eyes. Okay, so don't go beyond 40, because if you do, they seem, disgraced, sort of like lost face. Just like, ugh. I can see that. You must not muzzle a bull while it is threshing. Interesting. Because when he's threshing, when he's trying to do what he wants to do, yeah, you gotta let a bull be a bull, right? They gotta be able to allow themselves to behave, because they got all that testosterone. Do they call it testosterone in bulls? But they got all that energy that he needs to kind of guard the other female heifers, right? In case brothers dwell together and one of them has died without his having a son, the wife of the dead one should not become a strange man outside. Her brother-in-law should go to her, and he must take her as his wife and perform brother-in-law marriage with her. I thought that was... Hold on. In the Quran, you cannot take your brother's wife, right? That would be kind of gross. I could see if you take her into your household and you provide for her needs, but you shouldn't marry your brother's wife, I'd argue. There's other fish in the sea. Just give her some money, she'll go find someone else, but even if she hasn't had a kid, it's just kind of gross. Like, it's your own brother. Don't do it. And I've seen, you just gotta avoid that. If I had a son, I would not allow him to marry his brother's girlfriend or wife. I would chase her away. She wouldn't be allowed to come back. I'd put a restraining order on her, and I would break my son's phone. I would do everything in my power to scurry her away, no matter how kind she was to the other son. She's welcome to come around, but if you didn't have a child with my son, you're not going to dip your toes into my son and No. And it must occur that the firstborn whom she will bear should succeed to the name of his dead brother. That's creepy to me. That's creepy. That his name may not be wiped out of Israel. Well, just have your son get a new wife and then name him in honor of the brother who died. I don't see why you have to pork your brother's girl. It's super creepy. That's what is that? Our leader, his son, Hunter, is porking his dead brother Bo's wife. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Now, if the man finds no delight in taking his brother's widow must then go up to the gate to the older men and say, "My husband's brother has refused to preserve his brother's name in Israel. He has not consented to perform brother-in-law marriage with me." Wasn't it King Henry VIII who... the Queen of Spain. She was married to Henry's brother, I thought, and then remarried the brother, and then he wanted to divorce her and then get with Anne Boleyn. Part of his reasoning, though, wasn't it, I think, in the court was like, oh, my brother got in her, and then she's like, no, I was a maiden, he didn't consummate the marriage. But it was like a part he tried to use to the Catholic Church to get him to be allowed to divorce her so he could remarry, and then the Pope didn't want to let him do it because, the Holy Roman Emperor was, at that time, the territory was also in Spain. So that's interesting, because in history you can see that it could cause some problems. And the older men of his city must call him and speak to him, and he must stand and say, "I have found no delight in taking her." At that his brother's widow must approach him before the eyes of the older men, and draw his sandal off his foot, and spit in his face, answer and say, "That is the way it should be done to the man who will not build up his brother's household." Yeah, but your bro is gone. I mean, he's gone. I don't really see why you need to do that. There's so many women. There's so many men. You don't need to... Like, if I was... I don't know, it's just gross, man. It just comes off as, like, lazy to me. And his name must be called in Israel the house of the one who had his sandal drawn off. So you rename the house... that's interesting. In case men struggle together with one another, and the wife of the one has come near to deliver her husband out of the hand of the one striking him, and she has thrust out her hand and grabbed hold of him by his privates, you must then amputate her hand. Uriah must feel no sorrow. So she grabs him by the nuts to try to save her husband from getting beat up. You have to take off her hand. You're not allowed, so it's because she's touched the groin of someone else. That'd be quite difficult to grab a man by there. But because she can crush his seed, right? If she grabs him and she crushes his sac, it could damage the veins, I don't think, do you call them capillaries? No, capillaries is up here, right? But, just then, she could make him infertile, because when you're trying to save someone, now maybe it's just the grabbing, because kicking would be smart. Taking a big old, maybe that's worse if you take a big old stick and just but she could just get a club and boink of the head, right, if she wants to save her man. That's why you gotta get a man who knows how to defend himself.